Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with April. This time we're back talking about our subscription coffee, and for this month that means the subscription coffee for April. So what we shipped out this time was one of our kind of research coffees. It's a coffee that we bought early or mid-season last year that we were intended to use for the Nordic Roaster competition, which is basically, in that case, it was us bringing up Pacamara. We bought several different coffees from one specific farm in Nicaragua, a farm called Limoncillo, with farmer Dr. Irvin. And with that was a really interesting process. We kind of tried to discover Pacamara, a varietal that at April we haven't really worked with before. And, it's pretty fair to say that that whole process was a real eye-opener. We really tasted some interesting Pacamara varietals and understood the diversity that comes with that. And it's again what we come back to competing because it just makes sense because we learn new stuff and we think that's really exciting. Now this is a coffee that we actually did not bring, but it's a really interesting coffee and we're really happy to be able to share it as well. So just to walk you through some details about the green coffee first, which are interesting. Again, farm name Limoncillo, farmer Dr. Irvin. It's a farm that's around 171 hectares, where the coffee part of the farm is actually about 100 to 110. They're harvesting basically in the first cycle of the year. So the coffee that we're drinking now was harvested late February of last year. On an altitude of 1,200 meters, which is fairly high in Nicaragua, to be fair. It's a natural processed coffee. And here is where it kind of gets interesting because there's a Yellow Pacamara to begin with, which is just a natural hybrid, basically. But it's a natural Yellow Pacamara petite referring to the fact that it's a smaller selection of Pacamara, a selection that you usually would kind of throw away or mix in with other coffees and sell as a larger lot because the sum of what you get is such small. So this was a tiny lot, and we got this towards the other Yellow Pacamara, which was the kind of main selection of this coffee. And it's interesting because it was pretty clear differences in taste, whereas this is a very tropical tasting coffee. You get a lot of bananas, a lot of pineapple, a lot of yellow plum, which is really exciting. And it seems that the smaller the Pacamara, the more of this you're getting. We also was down like a Pacamara peaberry section as well, which was really interesting and got us some really cool experience on that as well. So it's a really unusual green coffee to begin with. And if my memory serves me right, this is the green coffee that Dale Harris from Has Been used when he qualified for the World Championship in Korea. So when he won in the UK, he used this coffee. And I should say that this coffee is sourced via Has Been, so good friends of ours and probably the best roastery in the world when it comes to Pacamaras. They have an extensive relationship with farmers that work with the varietals in general, and they work with it a lot themselves. So for us, it was a very natural step to kind of work with them when we started to investigate further on into Pacamaras. So the flavor profile of this cup, which again I kind of mentioned, is a lot of tropical fruit. It's a lot of yellow fruit. It's super sweet and it's really vibrant and yellow in the character, which is really interesting. Roasting wise, that turns into a pretty challenging coffee to roast, to be fair. What we ended up with here, and we've been roasting it for quite some time, so it was mainly challenging in the experimental phase because it was behaving very differently from what we're used to. However, what we started to do here and what we ended up doing here was basically a total roast time of 10 minutes and 43 seconds. So for us on the kind of shorter scheme of things, the time after crack is 1 minute and 12, a tiny bit longer than what we're used to. The end temperature is 209.7, which is definitely higher than what we used to. But I think if there's any lesson that we learned from the Pacamara is that it picks up color a lot slower than other varietals. So for us to reach the same color spectrum as with other coffees, let's say a Bourbon or Typica, then we need to actually roast this longer to be able to reach that or to a higher end temperature. So pretty interesting process. And I mean, I'm drinking it right now, and I'm actually really happy with it. It's one of the better versions that we've done so far. So it's going to be really exciting to see what you guys think about it. In terms of brewing, what we've done here is fairly simple. It's actually the recipe that I'm bringing to the World Championships, which would require you to have the April brewer, which makes it maybe a bit complicated, but it will come at some point. However, it's a 14-gram dose of coffee to 210 grams of water. It's a total brew time of 4 minutes, basically using the April brewer, which you at home could translate to a Kalita brewer, at least using the Kalita paper filter. And basically splitting the pours up into multiple pours, mixing between a 30-gram pour and a 60-gram pour. So basically 30, 60, 30, 60, 30, right? The 30-gram pour being a circle pour and the 60-gram pour being a center pour. So this is basically to highlight different aspects of the cup. Brewing temperature is down at 90 degrees Celsius, which again is a bit lower than what we're used to. Just to control the acidity structure, this coffee has quite a lot of inherent acidity, so to bring that down a tiny bit, we'll bring down the temperature initially. That's about it. It's a pretty straightforward cup of coffee. Grind as coarse as you can, we always do. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing as well. If you're not subscribed already, then subscribe down here. Please leave any comments if you have any thoughts, and just thank you again to Hasbeen for sharing this really cool coffee with us.